All right, Mr. Aguirre,
Hello.
what is it that got you interested in reading?
Well, the first time that I remember being interested in reading was back in 7th grade. We read a book called The Hobbit for the class I was in. And The Hobbit was just one of those books that before that I didn't care. I read The Hobbit and it just kind of captured my imagination and it kind of opened up my eyes to the possibilities of the worlds that can exist in books. And I was really excited about it. After that, I was looking for more books that were like that. And then I was kind of hooked ever since.
Yeah, Tolkien is really good at that. Why do you read? Like just for enjoyment, to escape?
I
To the best of your
read.
knowledge.
No, that's fine. That's fine. I read. Obviously, I read professionally for school and stuff like that. But primarily, I like to read for my own enjoyment and entertainment. It's a bit of escapism.
Yeah.
But I try to read a variety of texts so that I don't stagnate on any one thing. You know,
Yeah.
I like sci-fi a lot. I like fantasy a lot. But I've also read like historical fiction.
Yeah.
I'll read anything if it sounds interesting. Really.
That's awesome. Okay, and the final question is, if you were just to give anyone recommendations on books, what do you think that would be, just like for beginning readers, people who don't read a lot?
Oh, that's a tough one. It depends on the person. I like to suggest to my students, for example, that they find something that they're interested in. If they're interested in cars, then go find books about cars and automotive. If they're interested in science, find science. If they're interested in math, find a math book, but find something that you're interested in is the main thing, because if you're interested in it, you'll devote the time to reading it.
Okay, and the final question, sorry,
That's okay.
would be, if you were to suggest someone to read like something out of Shakespeare or other Old English, would you want them to read the original or the translation to modern time?
It depends. If you're just reading for the story, it doesn't really matter a whole lot. But I think in something like Shakespeare, it's important to read the original text because that's where the beauty lies. That's where the poetry is in the original writing.
Yeah.
So eventually, if you're going to really pay attention to it, you're going to have to read the original. And I think you'll find that when you do, that there's a lot there that's not in the basic story, that goes beyond the basic story.
A lot of subtext?
Definitely, and
Yeah.
it's all captured in the poetry of the writing. So I really recommend that eventually you get to the original writing of Shakespeare.
All right then, that concludes this. Okay, Mr. Mang, what first got you interested in reading?
I think the first thing that got me interested was the ability to escape and to be somewhere else and know somebody else. And it can eat up lots of time. And there wasn't many kids around to play with, and I was kind of an only child because my other siblings had already left home.
So you're saying that to read, the reason you read was to escape reality and find enjoyment at other places?
Yes, and yeah, I think so, because, life is boring if you just sit around and there's nothing to do.
Okay then, what would you recommend to people that do not really enjoy to read? What would you recommend to them?
Okay. Well, I think you better find something you like to read, because it's out there. You just haven't taken the time to look, and yet you haven't made it a priority in your life. If you want to go very far in life, though, many occupations, many involve reading with closed doors.
All right, and since you have a master's in reading, what do you have to say on reading the topic?
Well, first of all, I want to tell you why I got that master's in reading, because I was an English teacher and I taught students that had different ways of learning. And a young man said to me one day, "What I really wish you'd do is teach me how to read." And it just floored me. I was like, oh my gosh, you have that whole world closed to you. How awful. And so I did go back and get a master's degree in reading so that I could hopefully open that door to individuals who had some difficulty in that area due to a neurological issue, usually.
Okay then. Anything else you want to say?
I am so looking forward to getting into reading again, I haven't been able to read as much as I'd like to because, ironically, whenever you teach English, and of course we all enjoy reading when we teach English, you don't have much time to read because you're too busy with your English and grading and getting all of those things done. So I look forward to jumping back into it. Yep.
All right then. Okay, Miss Handy, what first you got interested in reading?
I've read my entire life. Books were a big part of my household. My parents read to me when I was a kid. My older sister read, and I always wanted to follow her example. But since I was old enough to figure out what a story was, I've always read stories and had them read to me.
Okay then, as an English teacher, what tips would you give people who don't much enjoy reading?
That's just foolish. Who doesn't enjoy reading?
I'm sure there's one or two.
Maybe one or two. Okay, well, I would say try different stuff. Don't just say, oh, well, I don't like reading for school, so I don't like reading, because there's such a wealth of art out there, literature that's just amazing and fun and awesome. So keep an open mind and try different stuff. Try reading stuff published online, magazines, graphic novels. There's all kinds of awesome stuff out there, so try different things.
Okay, and as someone with a master's in literature, what are some common things you find in all the books you do enjoy reading?
I would say I'm really drawn to pieces that have a really interesting setting, especially historical fiction, things that you learn a lot about a culture or a place by reading them, so that the characters kind of show you what a certain time in the universe was like. Or I'm not as interested in stuff that's set in contemporary America, where I guess maybe I feel like I know that already. I like to be transported to a different time in a different place.
So would you think that you read to escape reality? Kind of just
Yeah. I mean, look at this. I need to escape somewhere. No, I don't know that it's just escaping reality. I have a pretty pleasant reality, but it's just fun. I mean, some people like to do video games. Some people like to watch a lot of movies. I like to read books.
Okay then, that wraps us up.